Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Urban Update. I am Alberto Vasallo, and on the show today, PASM, which is a cornerstone of the arts community in New England that has been creating, inspiring, and interactive music experiences for all. Also on the program, information on the upcoming 20th Annual King Cabral celebration, which this year will focus on leadership and legacy, and also details on East Boston Neighborhood Health Center's SHINE program, which is dedicated to serving those individuals in our community with HIV and AIDS. But up first, more about East Boston. It is one of Boston's 21 neighborhoods, located right across the Boston Harbor from the rest of the city. It was a center of shipbuilding in the mid-1800s and has always been a neighborhood of immigrants. Today, its population is made up largely of Italian Americans and immigrants from Central and South America. And yet, in more recent years, East Boston has also become home to a wave of young professionals seeking residence in newly renovated condos along Jeffries Point along the waterfront, Eagle Hill, and even Maverick Square. Now, just like any densely populated urban area, East Boston has also seen its share of violence. How this community has rallied together is a focus of our opening segment. We are now joined by East Boston community activist Paul Rogers and Pastor David Searles of Central Assembly of God Church right there on Bennington Street. Buenos días, bienvenidos to almost a Revista Hispana Urban Update. Urban Update. Good morning.
Thank you so much.
Good. I want to start off first by saying thank you for coming, because you should be in church right now, but you're making an exception, but you're going after this, right?
That's right.
Okay, good. As long as all your folks are in church, it's good.
That's right.
Okay, good. And speaking of your church, I just want to kind of, just we're talking about it, your congregation's pretty diverse?
It is very diverse, yeah. I've been a pastor there for over 20 years. And as we've seen in the neighborhood, we also see in the church a transformation in terms of diversity. And so, yeah, it does represent, to a great extent, the community and what's going on there.
Well, I'm gonna, and that's a good segue for Paul, because he mentioned on the diversity. So when you meet someone from outside of the general Boston area and they say, describe East Boston. I remember years ago it was East Boston because it was all Italians, right? But that has changed a little bit.
Oh yeah, there's certainly an aspect of East Boston that still has the Italian, Italian-American sort of population as well, but it's definitely been changing over the past 20, 30 years. Certainly there's been the Latino community that's a big part of the community more recently, and there's also the Moroccan community, which has been big even more recently, and of course, as you mentioned, some of the younger professionals here. So it's definitely a great mix of cultures that are coming together in East Boston.
Yeah, and as an activist, when you are trying to put events together for the community or something comes up, I guess that whole issue of the different community groups and how you speak to each group comes up all the time.
Of course, yeah. I mean, the diversity is great, but sometimes there's some friction sometimes there, and we see that sometimes in the community. But I think one of the positive things the great positive things that I see in the community is that there's also a big movement to try to bring a lot of the cultures together and break down those the divisions that have been in the community.
Yeah, I know you guys will work with the police department as well, and you've had representatives here, but the clergy also plays a big role in all of this, right? There's a very diverse clergy in East Boston.
Oh yeah, and it's an increasingly active part of the community. One of the challenges for clergy is to get outside the walls of the congregations and into the community and out on the streets, and that's one of the things that we've been seeing over the last couple of years.
Let's talk a little bit about these peace walks. I know you had one about 2 weeks ago, but you had some in 2016, because there have been the need for it. Well, it's a peace walk or Virgil. There's been a number of kind of variations of it, but how do they come together, and why are they so necessary?
Well, it really started back in late fall of 2015, when we first started to see some signs of violence in our neighborhood, and I think it was a natural progression from there in terms of getting some of the folks together in the neighborhood. But then it really the community turned out in 2016, when we started to have peace walks every week in the summertime, right up until in mid-October when we had our last peace walk. And it really has been a great thing to see the community come together in terms of from the clergy, from businesses, residents, and of course the Boston Police Department themselves, all the way up to Commissioner Evans. I have to give a lot of credit to the folks in the Boston Police Department for their efforts in terms of working with folks in the community to come out and help try to reconnect with the folks in the neighborhood, to try to find solutions to that are problems that are really difficult in terms of leading our youth outside the bounds of violence that have been attracted to them in terms of gangs and everything else. So.
Yeah, and East Boston is such a key point. I mean, we've had some real estate experts here over the past year, and one of the areas of Boston that everybody points to as kind of, well, it's kind of in the middle of everything, right? You've got some gentrification going on, you've got some neighborhood folks, you've got community. I mean, everything seems to be happening around East Boston. It looks like 2017, that's going to continue, right?
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of building, renovation, and development going on there.
So will information around that be key for the residents as well and everybody?
Yeah, I mean, certainly has that effect on the cost of rents for a lot of families, and that's certainly making things a lot more stressful for a lot of folks that are already struggling to make ends meet. And some say there's a lot of connections between that, and so I think what a lot of people are interested in trying to find solutions that help folks stay there in a peaceful environment, and so that's why we're seeing a lot of these efforts in terms of the Peace Walk, bring folks together from disparate parts of the community together to try to find solutions for families as well as our younger folks too.
All right, well, we're going to end the show with a little slogan I've heard around here. Viva East Boston, right? Viva East Boston in 2017. Hopefully you guys will be on to share some good news about some summer stuff, or maybe spring and summer stuff. Viva East Boston. Thank you for coming. Get back to church. Okay.
Yes.
I don't know if you go to church, but you need to, Paul. Okay. When we come back, a much-needed program and service providing. We're going to stay with East Boston, providing medical care for individuals with HIV and AIDS from East Boston Neighborhood Health Center. All the details right here on Urban Update.